Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia aquaculture producers are trying not to scrape bottom this year because of lost sales. It's time for a seasonal dish featuring kale in the heart of the home. And the farmers of Louisa County continue to contribute to their community.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Double L Farms in Louisa County. More from here in a bit. But first, shellfish producers have seen their market dry up this summer. Ricky Gibson reports growers are hoping for a better fall as restaurants begin to open up.
Virginia is home to the nation's largest shellfish industry and one of the largest overall aquaculture or fish farming sectors. Much of that industry is based on the eastern shore, where producers raise clams and oysters in controlled conditions. But they can't control the market, and COVID-19 shut down many seafood restaurants last spring and summer.
Restaurants are huge. I sell directly to a big dealer, and it's all wholesale business. And what those guys do is they basically spread all that out amongst whoever their clients are, or whoever their accounts are. Now, I like seafood just like everybody else does, and these oysters, I love them. But you can't go to a restaurant and sit down and see more than 25%, 50% capacity at any given time, any given restaurant. And so that being said, in these seafood restaurants, that there's only 25 to 50% capacity, they're not selling anywhere near what they should be selling.
Chris Kaysen owns Sandy Point Shellfish in Cherrystone Inlet and raises wholesale oysters. Like all aquaculture producers, he is struggling to control his inventory at a time when he has few customers. Unlike a restaurant, a shellfish operation can't just shut down for a few months.
So normally, if we're selling bags and going through gear and taking care of these things and working them every day, these oyster bags would be between 15 and 20 pounds normally, and then we would dump them for harvest, okay? But because we haven't harvested these oysters, and it's been some time, and we're out of space, we're out of equipment, we're out of room, these oyster bags have just grown and grown and grown, and these oysters have turned into rocks almost, and they're hard to beat up and break apart, and they're misshapen.
They're still growing. They don't stop growing just because of a pandemic. So we're harvesting them. We're taking care of them. We're out there doing the normal maintenance and everything that needs to be done on them. They're a living creature just like any livestock farmer, on the western side of the state. So we're still taking care of them and doing all the routine maintenance that needs to be done to them. So they'll be there when the people want them.
Kyle Sturgis raises clams near Cape Charles, along with row crops and vegetables. He's part of a group of aquaculture producers who have found a way to sell at least some product.
We're a co-op with Cherrystone Aqua Farms, so actually what Cherrystone has done this year amid all of this pandemic, they have started an online sales platform, and they're selling direct to customers, consumers that way. So they still have their distribution channels, and they're still going to big box grocery stores and restaurants and things like that. But they are also opened up an avenue for just people coming in that would like to get it delivered straight to their house. Maybe have a little get together, or they can't get out and they want fresh clams and oysters, so they're getting everything shipped to their house.
Both clam and oyster producers take advantage of modern crates and bags to raise their shellfish in clean water under more controlled conditions than shellfish harvested in the wild. Some are grown in the bay, some in tanks on land, but all are usually high-value products with eager customers. As the government begins to lift some COVID-19 restrictions, growers are hoping their markets will also open up.
So what we hope is this fall it'll pick up with the normal pickup time. You've got Thanksgiving coming up. Thanksgiving, usually a little bit of a lull, and then we get into Christmas time, you pick it up a little more, then you get into New Year's, and then it picks up some more. So hopefully this fall will be busy, but I don't know. It's not been, and I'm not getting my hopes up. I mean, at this point, I just think it is what it is, and we're just trying to skirt by.
Like many Virginia farmers adapting to the pandemic, Sturgis says shellfish producers have to pivot quickly to find new markets and keep on #still farming.
Whether it's aquaculture production or whether it's land-based agriculture production, growers in general are very resilient. We're always learning, we're always doing new things. And so I think this has opened the public's eyes up to how important their food source is and where it's coming from. And so, and it gives them a broader perspective of what's going on the farm too.
Fall oyster season is in full swing, and fresh Virginia clams are always a treat. Virginia aquaculture producers are hoping more consumers will be buying their products soon. In Northampton County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
Aquaculture has seen tremendous growth in the Old Dominion over the past decade. Past pollution problems in the Chesapeake Bay led watermen and producers to switch to more controlled shellfish operations. In 2016, Virginia growers and watermen sold $56.6 million worth of clams and oysters. In 2018, oysters accounted for 55% of all Virginia aquaculture products sold, and they were valued at $62.4 million. This is an increase from oyster sales of only $20.7 million in 2013. Clam sales grew from $20.7 million in 2013 to $31.9 million in 2018.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about fall cole crops from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
It's too late in the year for fresh vegetables, right? Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension says that's absolutely not true. He visits an expert who's raising fall cole crops from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're in Warrenton, Virginia, and we're here at the Aquaculture Education Farm with Mr. Jim Hankins, the Executive Director here at the farm. Jim, we're going to talk about cole crops today. What is a cole crop? What kind of crops are those?
Well, the whole brassica family, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, then you got all these great Chinese greens, everything in that family, we call them cole crops.
Not cole.
C-O-L-E, cole crops. They are cool season crops. And we plant them beginning in the middle of March, but fall is also a really, really wonderful time to be planting them so that they will mature, into September and October. They're not going to be afraid of a frost. They'll do just fine to the first few frosts. And really frequently, these crops will do better in the fall than they do in the spring.
Okay, so in most of Virginia, you could do either one, but which one do you prefer, or which one do you like to do?
Oh, I do both. I do both. Now, it is true that this fall we are doing a much larger cool season crop planting than we did in the spring. I had potatoes in this field, and now that the potatoes have come out, it was easy to put the fall cabbage and broccoli in. But yeah, they do both.
So what time for the fall, what time would you really be putting those in the ground?
Well, a lot of folks make the mistake of thinking that you wait till fall to plant your fall crops.
Okay.
If you're starting them from seed, really frequently the end of July or August is when you plant the seeds. Now we bought transplants, 6-week-old transplants that we started putting into the ground in August. They will mature at the end of September and into October.
Okay. Any disadvantages of that into that summer planting?
Oh, it's a completely different world in the springtime and the fall. The biggest reason is in the springtime, you don't have any pest control issues. You know, in March, there isn't a caterpillar in sight. Right now, in the end of August and into early September, there are cabbage moths everywhere busily laying their eggs on these little plants. The big difference is in the springtime, when you've got caterpillar damage on your cabbage, it'll just be a little bit when it matures. But when it is a little tiny seedling, that caterpillar can devastate the plant in 1 or 2 days. So pest control is a big issue. Okay. Typically, ironically, irrigation is often an issue, you know, in August and September.
Okay.
But other than that, you know, it works pretty well.
Okay, well, it sounds like a good time to plant for most Virginians in the fall, or in the late summer for a fall crop, I guess.
Yes, absolutely, you know, and so many of the crops like kale, you know, kale that have gone through a frost or two, it actually sweetens it up. That's one of the ways nature uses to create an antifreeze, is to increase the sugar content. Okay. And it just tastes really wonderful with the fall kale.
Well, that makes sense. I think this was a good tip for home gardeners to maybe try planting late summer for their crops like their kale and their cabbage and their cauliflower like you have growing here.
Kale, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, they all do really well. Fall would be the only time I would consider planting Brussels sprouts. Okay. You know, they need that really cool weather to mature nicely. You plant them in March, they're maturing in June, and it's already too hot for them.
Gotcha. Well, great. Thanks for the tips today. Thanks for letting us come out and talk to you about some of the things you're growing here.
Anytime.
Well, for more information about fall cole crops, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. Coming up on Heart of the Home, braised kale and lemon. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends, and then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
It's the season for hearty meals, like a hot soup. Chef Tammy Brawley has just the ticket, using a superfood, kale, from the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley with the Green Kitchen, and we're here for a special outdoor version of Virginia Heart of the Home at Old Tavern Farm in New Kent. And today we're going to make some delicious braised kale with lemon. So let's get started. We have a skillet here that's warming up, and we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. How much olive oil? Well, it really depends on the size of your pan. If you have a lot to cook, you're going to want probably a little bit more oil. Cover the bottom of the pan. And then what I've done is I've already created this, but this is shallots and green onions and some garlic and some salt and pepper and some crushed red pepper as well. For those of you that might not be familiar with shallots, this is what they look like. They're sort of a cross between, at least I refer to them, a garlic and a red onion. If you have all the other ingredients on hand, but you don't have a shallot, but you have red onion, feel free to use that. It's a fine substitution. And we've got some delicious local kale here, grown right here in Virginia. It's absolutely beautiful. Looking very forward to working with that. So what we're going to do is in our warm pan here, we're going to add the shallots and the garlic and the pepper, salt. You can hear that nice little sizzle. Make sure you get all of it in the pan. And you want to saute that around just a little bit. You don't want to go too long with it because you don't want to burn the garlic. Nice and fragrant. And now you want to add some sliced lemons. Thinly sliced that I've already taken all the seeds out. You do want to make sure you take the seeds out. So now we're going to put those on the bottom of the pan. Move those around a little bit. Then you want to add about a cup or two of chicken stock. Could be vegetable stock if you'd like to make it vegetarian. That's going to kind of come to a boil. And then we're going to come back and add our kale. Now, braising basically means low amount of liquid. So we don't want a lot of liquid in that, but it is going to form a very nice sauce. We've got some delicious kale here, and what you want to do is you want to de-stem it, take the stem off. So you want to pull the leaves from the hard stem. And I don't even run a knife through this. I usually just rough chop it with my hands or pull it apart with my hands. And you want to go right into the sauce with that. And as you can imagine, it being a green, it's not going to take very long to wilt down. And the less cooking you actually do to it, the healthier it is. So you really kind of want to maintain as much of that green as you can. Now this looks like a lot in the pan, but it's really not by the time it cooks down. This is just about ready, believe it or not. Beautiful green color. Kale is about to come into season. It's one of the healthiest things in the world for you. Can be made so many different ways. I love the flavor of this. All right, so this is ready. We're going to put it on a beautiful plate here. In fact, I'll just set that down. Now what I like is presentation, and I would like to put all the green down and then come back with the lemon on top. A little bit more kale. Now we can put our lemon right on the top. You can see how pretty this is. And let's not negate that beautiful sauce that we've just made. So let's pour that right over the top. And there you have it, braised kale with lemon. How quick was that? Easy to do when you come home from work and you get the delicious, nutritious flavor of the kale. Thanks for staying with us. We'll see you next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website, greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Kale and cole crops like broccoli and cauliflower are several crops that actually thrive in colder temperatures. In fact, some growers say kale doesn't taste right until it's gone through a frost or a light freeze. Kale's raised on 256 farms in Virginia, covering 172 acres. It's a popular vegetable at farmers markets in the fall and early spring, and it's considered a superfood because it's very high in vitamins A, C, and K. It also contains important trace minerals like manganese, potassium, and copper for your diet.
Louisa County is located close to Virginia's geographic center. In this week's County Agricultural Close-Up, Burke Muller reports that this small-town community is working hard to keep its rural roots, dating back to 1742.
Louisa County could be viewed as a rural oasis in the center of a triangle formed by the cities of Charlottesville, Fredericksburg, and Richmond. Long-term residents say that can be an advantage for many Louisa County farmers.
It brings the consumer close to you. It brings the folks that are going to buy the produce, the vegetables and fruit, the other types of ag products.
Rydell and other farmers are aware that growth seen in recent years has also created pressure to convert open lands for other uses. Residential development, particularly near Lake Anna in the northern half of the county, has led to more traffic on small two-lane roads.
The people that come in a lot of times have less tolerance for farmers. People are in a hurry to go everywhere, it seems, these days, and that makes it tough in moving large equipment around.
Richard Lloyd has farmed in Louisa County all his life. He's had some close calls, like last spring when a motorist was following him and his son while they were moving farm equipment on the road.
The person came around him and then came around and literally cut me off because they were upset that they had to follow for about a mile.
But Lloyd and his son are finding ways to make farm life work alongside the population growth in the county. Carlton Lloyd is the fourth generation to farm his property and sees the value of all the hard work.
It gets to be a growing passion of yours, and you're ingrained in it, and you want to continue on with not only the family tradition but a lost art, you know, something that's important that everybody in this world needs, and that's a sustainable way, you know, to eat.
Here in Louisa, it's extremely diverse. We have everything from row crops to livestock to the equine sector, as well as some new greenhouse operations and poultry farms as well.
Louisa County has 431 farms spread out over 68,499 acres. The average farm size is 159 acres. The market value of all agricultural products raised here totals $14,971,000. Louisa County's farm income is roughly split between crops and livestock. Cattle and calves account for $4,130,000. Poultry, horses, hogs, goats, and sheep bring the total income from livestock to $7,681,000. Corn and soybeans are the top money makers in the crop sector, accounting for $3,161,000 in farm income each year. Nursery and greenhouse operations, hay, and other crops make up the balance of the total of $7,290,000 earned by crop producers. Chris Gibson and his wife raise chickens for Tyson Foods on his property in the southern end of the county. In a normal year, he and his family produce 4 or 5 flocks a year under contract.
I love, I guess, seeing the whole process of birth to, you know, the thought of feeding America. I really am passionate about the opportunity, or the fact that, you know, there is a growing number of people in America and in the world, and, you know, I'm a part of feeding them, and then the ability to take something like this and to share it with the younger generation, the next generation, the 4-H kids, the FFA kids. You know, I think that's what kind of drives me.
That sentiment is echoed by others in Louisa County's farm community.
Nothing pleases me anymore than to plant a crop in the spring and see it mature and see a baby calf being born and see he or she grow out.
Nothing excites me more than trying to educate somebody and really explain to them where their food does come from and how we do what we do.
It gets me away from the hustle and bustle of the everyday life. It gives me time to think, and it gives me the opportunity to come up with new plans and new ideas, because 12, 13, 14 hours in a tractor daily, you have a lot of time to think. And I like providing for other people in the population, not only locally, but across the state and nationally as well.
The people of Louisa County are determined to preserve agriculture as a critical part of their culture and economic life. They know they have to balance the demands of ever-encroaching growth from nearby cities, and they're determined to find a way for everyone to prosper in the future. In Louisa County, Virginia, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Baby, you see, I cannot set you free. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.